All right, and we are live. Feels good to be here once again. Another episode of Super Podshots. I was going to do a Tick podcast, but the team obviously we couldn't get together. This is not a normal day. I wanted to try to finish out the week of E3 before moving on to new content on Thursday with Tick Podcast, as well as regular scheduled stuff. So yes, this is going to be a late show for the East Coast, a an evening show for the West Coast, and another evening show for Central. If you're listening, been working pretty hard to get content out via MP3 around the world. I know some of you guys have been asking me what's going on with the MP3 channel. For the most part, man, I've just been extremely busy, and I'm the one that does the editing and uploading to the RSS feed. So I do apologize for that, but I've been putting up some backlog content, and if you miss anything, you can check it out on iTunes, Google, Stitcher, or pretty much any other cast app from Xbox to anything on your phone app wise and stuff like that. And again, like I said, on Xbox, if you ever just want to play a game, you could always go to the app section, download the podcast beta app, the cast app, or any podcast app, type in TIC podcast as one word, and our content will pop up and just sub right there. um so listen, man, I'm going to make the show short. There's a few things that I want to get off my chest and talk about, as well as some of the things and directions that Microsoft is going. I want to try to focus on that. And then, of course, I will try to do a Q&A as usual if fans are available. And if guys want to ask any questions, I am here to answer them. We'll cross some 4K talking points and how that correlates to what Microsoft is doing, and try to get a feel for the future of Xbox. So let's begin, man. Got a lot to talk about. Let's get it started. Hey, Explanation now rocking with your boy KORX Kal-El, the last son of Planet Xbox, and you're listening to Super Pod Shots. Yeah, man. So listen, amazing week this past week over at E3 in LA. I had a great time. I accomplished so much. I can't even fathom the amount of things that were done and the amount of things that we accomplished over there this week at E3. I feel like we took a step forward, which was huge for us content wise. Website team did an excellent job covering everything coming out of E3. The E3 team did an excellent job trying to report via podcast, as well as putting up any interviews that we had. And I think we have more content coming out this weekend from both Nicodemus and Joshua. But I look back at all of the conferences we attended. We missed the PC conference. We missed Ubisoft conference. We happen to be late on that, but we did get into Bethesda. We did get into Microsoft's. We watched Sony's. We recorded with Ubisoft. We had the Bethesda party and things like that. Overall, man, when I went on Twitter, or actually the same day as E3 for Microsoft, I went on there and I made a post, and the post was that I was very excited and amazed at the presentation that Microsoft had put out. And I got killed. I mean, I got killed by everybody. I got killed by Xbox fans. I got killed by PlayStation fans. And in retrospect, I have to laugh because it seems that people finally agree with me all of a sudden. Because when you look at the landscape of what was presented from everybody else, it seems Microsoft did have a really good show. Whether or not they had AAA exclusives or not is one thing. Not saying they didn't have anything to show or any good games presented is another. And it's something that you normally don't get. I think the last time we had a show with Microsoft that had this many games was probably like 2014, or maybe the E3 reveal of Xbox in 2013, where literally they just had a show littered with games. Listen, the 1 billion's been spent clearly from the Don Matrick era. We lost a few games. There's a few games coming out. They have a pretty good 4K library that they're building up right now. Did the Xbox One X separate itself enough with the presentation at E3 to really make people make a decision between the PS4 Pro and the Xbox One X? I don't know, man. It's tough because you're not really, when you look at what they present as far as third party is concerned, we can't compare them yet until we actually get these games out into the public. It's one thing when you have a marketing deal it kind of isolates the game from being shared with another platform. We'll never see what Destiny looks like or Assassin's Creed looks like until we actually get a chance to get those games, play them, and then compare them to really discern a difference. And even if we did, I don't know how much of a big difference it would be, being that the Pro is still a solid console, whether checkerboard or not, it's still a solid console. However, at the same time, you look at games like Anthem, you look at games like Metro, that, you know, especially Anthem, which was built on the Scorpio XDK. Metro was built on PC hardware that is equivalent to the Xbox Scorpio, and is the target render for the Xbox Scorpio. You look at those two games, you say that's amazing because those games are built from the ground up on Scorpio, whereas a lot of games that's releasing is actually already pre-production. You got to think a lot of these games is built from the Xbox and the PS4 up and then enhanced. I think that's the key figure where they're being enhanced. They're being moved over to the dev kit, and now they're getting that resolution bump. They're getting that texture pack, if some of them are getting texture packs. But a game like Anthem that releases next year, a game like Metro that's coming out next year, those games are being built on Scorpio as we speak. And I look at those two games and I say to myself, God damn. Like, that is incredible. Graphically, those are really impressive games, and I really don't see anything touching them. Now, Anthem in particular, my understanding is partially checkerboard. We don't know what, you know, how high the resolution is as far as that's concerned when it comes to the Xbox One S. But in all actuality, I really don't give a damn. As long as the game continues to look as amazing as it does and the frames are locked or frames are solid on that game, I am extremely happy with what they are presenting when it comes to that particular game. Very excited for it. Very excited for the potential future of that title. And I have a lot of faith in BioWare. Suddenly, a lot of people don't have faith in BioWare because of Mass Effect. And I keep telling people, listen, Mass Effect was your D team. I don't even think it was the B team. I think it was the C or D team. And they really took the A and B team and put them on Anthem, because you can look at the difference between the two and just see, you know, listen, this team really is going all out with Anthem. Just a little bit they shown was enough to me, just to let me know that this is going to be a grand game. From when they land to where they jump off the cliffside to the flight and the sequence of the animals running in the background and interacting with the creatures in the world, and jumping off and diving into the water and coming out. Bro, it was just an amazing sequence of things that really was jaw-dropping. And Metro was absolutely jaw-dropping. And even though Metro had some pre-rendered sequences, which was actually admitted by the developer themselves, you know, from the monster and the kick and the hand, and, you know, fighting off the beast before you even shot it, one of those type of things. It's just one of those things where when you see this game for the first time and you don't know it's Metro, and he's just walking through that alley with the mask on and the breathing and the steam hitting the mask, and he looks down and he picks up ammo, he puts it in his gun, and you see the detail, the dust coming off the dead body when he pulls the ammo from the body and the head kind of tilts. You just see the ashes, just the dust ashes from the body from decomposing. I'm just jaw dropped. I'm just in awe. And then, you know, the beasts come out, and you look at the detail of the monsters and the saliva in the mouth, like, very detailed in what they were trying to do with that game. I'm just really impressed with it. And hopefully they're able to hit that target render with Xbox One Scorpio. So, you know, Microsoft showed these games off. They came out, they showed their own titles. Forza looking amazing graphically. Listen, I spoke about Forza on day one, the potential of that game and what it presents, and all of the new features that they have coming to it, from dynamic weather to actually having your own driver now as a component to the game, with over 300 pieces of clothing to switch and move and manipulate from the helmet to the actual driving suit. It was just incredible. Every rim that you could possibly think of in the game. They have the largest selection of any game of Ferraris, Porsches, and I think there's Lamborghinis. And that's what they told me. And I mean, this is from the actual developers themselves when I got behind the scenes on the game. The largest selection of Porsches, Lamborghinis, and Ferraris of any racing game. And don't get me wrong, I think Project Cars is a beautiful game. I think it looks amazing, and it may probably give damn near any game a run for its money. And if you're really into hardcore sim, then Project Cars is definitely the game for you. But Forza just overall is just amazing. The things that they're adding to that game is just amazing. And I'm not I guess you could say a circuit racer. I prefer Horizon Zero Dawn to Forza 7. However, my boy will probably purchase the game because he's a big motorsport fan, and in the process, being that we do game share, I will wind up getting a chance to play the game as well. I do like the idea of having your own music in the game and playing like literally in the background. Like one of the sick things about that game was when they were in the garage and the guy had his music playing on screen. And when you sit there for a second, you're like, well, there's nothing special now that Xbox has background music. But that's not what's happening. This is in game audio coming off the speakers in the garage. You can hear the echo. You can hear the music in the distance as if the speakers were all the way down the hallway in the garage, just bumping through the garage. It was incredible. It was incredible. I just like, wow, that's amazing. Just to think that, and that translates to the actual game itself, as if you were listening to a radio. It translates to when you're driving the game. This music, your own music, plays in game. Huge. Not something in the background, but actually in game. And I thought that was pretty special. So I think from dynamic weather to what they're doing with the track. And listen, if you've seen the comparisons between Forza Motorsport 6 and Forza Motorsport 7, there's a huge difference. It is not just because the game is darker. It just overall looks more realistic. And they've done a great job improving upon that game. And I have to think about other games. You got Cuphead eventually finally coming out. You have Ashen looking like it's really turned from an indie title to something with a bigger budget, a bigger approach. I mean, Microsoft had this thing as a behind the scenes title. This is when I knew that this game they have really taken an interest in this game and taken it to another level. Because 2 years ago when I interviewed the Ashen team, Aurora 44, they were just another ID at Xbox team. They weren't someone that Microsoft was investing in. Being able to talk with them behind the scenes. And what I mean by that is when you go to E3 and your media, there is a media area that only media can enter. And I just, we work so hard to make it to that point. My first year, I literally couldn't get access. Security is there. They stop you. They look at your badge. No, you can't come in. Then when you get your media badge, now that you are media, you get a chance to just flash your badge and they let you in like going into some high-end club. And it's just media everywhere. You're seeing guys like Ryan McCaffrey, and I'm seeing Jez is in there, and there's like free coffee for everybody, and people are sitting down and talking. And Microsoft comes up with these paddles, and they have these paddles, and on the paddles there is a game that you can, when they call you, they take a group. So you might have a paddle that says Forza, they might have a paddle that says Sea of Thieves. But Aurora 44 was there, and it was for ID at Xbox, and Ashen was their game. And that's why I got the scoop on the way Ashen was designed and the way it's built and the way people play the game, which to me was just intriguing. And just looking at it and seeing the difference from what initially we had seen when on the red carpet to now was a huge, huge difference in the game. And though it does not seem that way when you look at it, once you start to play and you see the depth of this game, you are going to be very surprised at this game. This is the reason why this game is $59.99. I don't even think people realize that this game, Cuphead, is $19.99. Okay. Other indie games that's coming out are $19.99. Ashen is a $60 game. It's a $60 game. They have really put money into this game, and I don't think people realize how much Microsoft is investing in Ashen and why this may be a major title for them. It's unique. It's different. It doesn't look like a AAA, but it's going to play like a good A or AA title. And it's really impressive. I really do like the game. And when I spoke to those guys and I asked them, because I thought that the game was coming out in August, when I spoke to them and asked them when the game's releasing, they told me 2018. I was hoping for early 2018, but they just told me 2018. And the reason why they told me that was because they want quality. They don't want to push nothing out. They don't want to rush nothing out. They want to make sure that this game is worth the $59.99. And they're going to take their time and polish it and try to make it the best possible game they can make it. And I'm really impressed with that. I'm really impressed with the team. And what they showed me, I was really impressed with and blown away. And that's why that game is on my list as one of the top games I have to get in 2018. We go through the rest of their conference. You look at The Last Night, which is just a beautiful game. It reminds so many people of Blade Runner. And you can just tell there's just so much emotion built into that game, from the music to the setting and the colors, and going from the realistic setting of water and raindrops hitting the screen to the actual world being pixelated, and actually other objects in the background being almost not pixelated, like flags waving in a wind actually look like up-to-date next-gen flags. Meanwhile, the characters and some of the cars and buildings, it's just amazing. It's just, this art aesthetic is, to me, it's just mind-boggling. And the choice, whoever made the decision on that choice was just a genius. And if I'm Microsoft, I'm buying that studio because that studio has talent. I'm not saying that the game is going to be great. I don't know what the game is going to be like, but first impressions are important. And that type of impression, when that type of game gets that much buzz, I mean, you really don't understand the amount of buzz this game had at E3. Out of all the indie games besides Ashen, and of course Cuphead, and of course Ori, the biggest one that people wanted to play the most was The Last Night. This is the game that people kept looking for, not Crackdown, but The Last Night. And now in actuality, Crackdown probably was the least talked about game. And that's kind of disappointing for Microsoft, I'm sure, but it's a very fun game nonetheless. So I'm sitting there and I'm just like, man, The Last Night's amazing. I want to get more information on it, but the game's not there. So that's kind of disappointing, not finding out where the game is located and trying to get more info on the game or try to get a scoop on the game. And Microsoft continues to go on, and they start showing off other titles that they have, and eventually we get to Ori. And Ori just, once again, just makes you want to cry, man. Just a graveyard of birds. Like, really, Microsoft, a graveyard of birds. There's only like one owl left. He's all depressed. He's crying. It's almost like, I swear, it's hours of Uchiha. You know what I'm saying? Like, this hour is Sasuke Uchiha, and his whole race has been wiped out. And Ori is like, trying to help him, trying to cope with the fact that his whole people, his whole clan has been wiped. Like, it's just crazy. And he's comforting him, and that's how it ends. And it has the piano, and you're just sitting there like, oh my God, somebody hand me a Kleenex. You know what I'm saying? It's just a weird situation. And then out of nowhere, you have Super Lucky Tail with this happy ass fox. This fox never stops smiling. I swear to God, this fox is on acid or LSD or something. Everything in the world is smiling. The enemies are smiling. He's smiling. Why? Why is everybody so goddamn happy in this game? And it's just funny, but it's just an amazing contrast between Ori and Super Lucky Tail. And Super Lucky Tail plays great. And this is what's really crazy about it. It's an amazing contrast from the emotional aspect of what Ori is, as well as being a great 2D platformer, to having Super Lucky Tail, which is a platformer, literally, I don't want to say on a Mario, on a level of Mario, but on a pedestal where you're not getting this type of game on Xbox, and it's sorely needed. It is so sorely needed. Microsoft needs this platformer, and it plays great. It plays extremely well. It's bouncy. He could dive in the ground. He has a tail where he has objects. The enemies are everywhere. There's coins to get. It just feels so Mario-esque, and it plays so much well. It plays so well. Talk to Nick about it. Nick had played the remaster of Crash Bandicoot, and he got a chance to play that, and he said graphically, Crash Bandicoot looks amazing. And this is Nick we're talking about. We're talking about Nicodemus from Trophy Life Podcast, and you guys know Nick. He is a diehard PlayStation guy to the death. Like, I'm for Xbox, but at the same time, he's like, to keep it 100, Super Lucky Tail played better than Crash. And and one of the reasons why he's so hopped up on the game, and he was really impressed with Microsoft conference to the point that he almost put an M in his he almost put an M in his Twitter name. It was funny. We were trying to push him. He was like, "Go ahead, do it." I dare you to do it just to see the reaction of people on Twitter, which would have been absolutely hilarious. But it's funny. You look at Super Lucky Tail, and all you can say is, "Wow, the game looks amazing." And he's like, "Man, the game just plays so well. It just really the controls and the handle and the colors and the way you're moving in the game just plays so well." And this is a potential game that Microsoft really needs to push. Now, I'm not saying it's a $59.99 game. I don't know what the game is worth, but it would be great if the game dropped at $29.99 or even $19.99. If they can get this game to drop anywhere below, I would say about $40, they're in the money. This will probably be the best $40 game you'll ever buy. Probably better than Recore, probably better than whatever else they put out at $39.99. It's really, really good. I really highly recommend it just based on what I played. Um, I got a chance to just really contemplate about Microsoft conference. And even though they had a lot of timed exclusives, I sat there and I said to myself, you know what I really like about what Microsoft did? What they did was they made sure that they had games that was exclusive to their platform for either from a month to an entire year, because we don't know how long a lot of these games are going to be exclusive, whether it's timed, whether it's fully exclusives, whatever you think. Out of 42 games, 22 of those things were either launch or regular exclusives. And as I said before, we don't know if they're hitting PS4. We don't know if they're just going to Steam. All we know is that they're launch exclusives, and that can mean anything. We don't have dates on those games. So when you really look at the library between the end of 2017 and the beginning of 2018, Microsoft has a lot of games that's not hitting other platforms. And that's the truth. There's a lot of games not hitting Steam. There's a lot of games not hitting PS4s. A lot of games not hitting the Switch, which puts Microsoft in a prime position to have a lot of titles on, coming out within the next, I guess you could say, 12 months. If you want to, or shall I say the next 8 to 9 months between August, because I think that's when the first set of games drops. So between August all the way until spring, close to summer of E3 2018. And then we'll start to see new titles coming out from Microsoft, probably at that E3, things that they have booked. Now, my understanding is that Microsoft has about 2 to 3 IPs that they are working on. One of them is actually a game that is in the ilk of Horizon Zero Dawn. And that's a compliment to Horizon Zero Dawn, that Microsoft would make a game and use that as I guess you can say, a way to present to other developers that they're hunting for to bring in to help them build this new IP. There's another game that they have with Capcom. And I'm not exactly sure what it is based on what I've heard. Again, I might be incorrect. I don't want to say 100% that it's a fact, but based on what I heard, it possibly has to do with some type of werewolf or some werewolf games. I'm not sure exactly. I need to get more information and clarify that. But they have something with Capcom, and then there's another title, and we don't know what that is either. And I'm sitting here saying to myself, we already know you're going to get Forza Horizon 4. That's going to be in 4K. You may possibly get a new Halo. You know that you may get these other titles that they've been working on, or something they may be working on that we don't know about, along with games that got pushed to next year, like Sea of Thieves and I can't think off the top of my head what they were, but it's like Sea of Thieves and a few other titles that were supposed to release this year that's getting pushed into 2017. And the biggest thing that I like the most about everything is that what Microsoft has done, and I had a conversation with somebody about this on Twitter, the biggest thing that Microsoft has done that I thought was really impressive was that Microsoft went out and made sure that they got the top PC games on their platform. And I thought that was just super important. A lot of us felt like Scorpio really should have been a true hybrid. It should have been what Steam machines were, where you have the opportunity to both play PC games and Xbox games. So maybe you don't get a PC game on your Xbox, you still have an opportunity to play it because the console is like a PC and you can play PC games. But in a different fashion, what Microsoft has done was convince these PC developers to bring their games over to the Xbox platform. And you talk about Arc and how this developer is going to make this game 60 frames per second, and it can only be done, at least console wise, on the Xbox One X. I had to get used to saying Xbox One X and not Scorpio. It can only be done on the Xbox One X, and it's not being done for the PS4 Pro. So both those consoles sit at 1080p, but one of them is at 30, one of them is at 60. And it shows you that power gap, that there is a power gap. And that's good. That's important because why would you want to spend $500 on something that's equal to something that's less? And again, it's no disrespect to the Pro, so don't kill me on it. But let's be honest here. If you're going to spend money on hardware that's a year later than what was released and it's $100 more, it should be more powerful. If it's not, that is a problem. So having that 30 frames per second tells you that yes, it is more powerful. And devs have been coming out and saying as much. And that's a good thing. You talk about Conan Exiles coming to the platform. You talk about Path of Exile coming to the platform. You're talking about Black Desert coming to the platform. What am I missing? You're talking about some of these indie games like The Last Night, which is probably will hit Steam at some point, as well as a ton of other indie games that we've seen that normally would hit Steam or probably were on Steam that are coming to the platform. I just really look at those games and I say to myself, man, this is amazing, because what you really want is to try to bring those PC titles over that normally we wouldn't be able to get a chance to play unless we had a PC or unless we were on Steam and playing those games. And now those games are coming to console. And in return, Microsoft is putting some of their games on PC. And I get it. Someone said that, hey, that's like, it's kind of like a half-ass thing because they're getting all these AAA titles and we're getting some MMOs and some indies. But I'm sitting here saying to myself, the biggest titles on PC are indies. And most of the big games that are on PC are already multi-platform and already on console. So it's not to say that PC don't have some really good exclusive titles, and I'm sure they do. But for the most part, most games are shared among platforms. A good large majority of them, and they're already on Xbox. And I'm sure the Microsoft team is continuing to work to try to bring more PC games to Xbox. And I felt that was really important. And it's really smart that Microsoft is doing that. Because if you're trying to unite your ecosystem, it's only right that the Xbox console gamers get those games as well. And I really like the selection of titles that they've gotten. And I'm just really impressed with it. And that's why I said to myself, when I watched that conference, yes, I did look for the big AAA. I did look for the surprise. I did look for a game coming from Ubisoft with Splinter Cell. And Splinter Cell, which didn't show up at Ubisoft conference, actually is been renewed. The trademark is out there. So don't think that Splinter Cell won't show up somewhere. It's going to pop up eventually. It's there. We just don't know where. We didn't get the new Bethesda game, but it does exist. I know that much. There's a new Bethesda IP out there. And we didn't get those games. Those games didn't show up when I look back at our predictions. But a new Ori showed up. Some games got pushed, like Sea of Thieves, which we thought would get pushed. Some other games got pushed, which we didn't think would get pushed. So a lot of things happened at this conference. But overall, I look at what Microsoft did as a whole, bringing in Code Vein. I'm still surprised that they even let this happen. Like I really am. I'm really shocked that they let this happen because, as a Xbox gamer and as someone who loves Japanese titles, to me it's great to see these games on it. And that's what really pushed me over the edge, because I look at all the AAA games that they had and people say they didn't have anything, they didn't have nothing AAA. Of course they had AAA titles there. Forza was there, Crackdown was there, Sea of Thieves were there. Those games are big money makers. Well, I won't say money makers, but they have a lot of money invested in them. Regardless of what people think about Crackdown because of the way it looked, the cloud processing, there's a lot of money being invested in that. And if you don't think that has a AAA financial backing, you would be a fool, because there's a lot of money being invested into that multiplayer. And that's the thing that people are looking for, which I'm hearing we'll get more of at Gamescom via, some conversations I had with Aaron Greenberg. But overall, what we're seeing is really Microsoft doing what we've all been begging them to do, what every PlayStation gamer has been begging them to do, what every Xbox gamer has been begging them to do, and all the people who want to act like they're interested in picking up an Xbox has been begging them to do. And that was to diversify their library. And they presented such an array of games that no one should have been able to complain. And yet somehow we still found a way to complain. And that's the sad part. Because I sit here and I'm sitting here and I say to myself, Everybody wants a new AAA exclusive, but no one buys a new AAA exclusive. How many new AAA exclusives Microsoft has put out? But no one goes out and picks the damn game up. No one is, putting 3.5 million sales in the first month or the second month or even a month or 1 million sales in a month on games like Quantum Break or Sunset Overdrive or Rise or any of those titles. So, excuse me if I'm more impressed with what Microsoft presented, whether they put a new AAA title out or not. Okay, because I'm sitting here saying to myself, no one's going to buy the goddamn game anyway. You know what I'm saying? And excuses, well, it's got to be something I like. I'm not going to buy something I don't like. Then don't sit up there and complain about Microsoft not putting out AAAs when they've been doing it for 3 years and people aren't picking them up. It's not like the games are bad. The games appeal to different people, but they're not bad games. They're actually really good games if you give them the time of day to play. So for me, I don't mind what Microsoft presented. Take your time. I go back and I think about what Phil said and the way he rebuilt the brand. And I don't think people even realize the steps that he took from day one to rebuild this brand. And when I go and I think about the interview we had with Seamus Blackley, it all fits into place. It finally fits into place. Phil Spencer comes in 2013 after the release, or shall I say the firing of Don Matrick. First thing he does is change the way Xbox Live operates, removes everything, but he removes a lot of the apps from behind the paywall. Netflix becomes free, Hulu becomes free. A lot of things that we normally would play becomes free from behind the paywall because we're already paying for them. So that was great. Moving those things was important. Microsoft then turns around, they give us gold, on the Xbox One X. They give us 360 games. They add Xbox 360 backwards compatibility. They add EA Access. They add Game Pass, and now they add OG Xbox backwards compatibility. You add a mixer. You're talking about a feature set for Xbox Live as an Xbox Live consumer that is second to none on the market. Second to none on the market. Phil then turns around. After doing that, it begins to work on hardware. We all complained about, or I won't say all of us, I had no problem with my Xbox One. I actually preferred it over PS4, and to this day I still do. But a lot of people sat there and complained about the Xbox One, whether it was resolution, whether it was too slow, whether it was the operating system. And what Phil did was take Don Matrick's TV box, which everybody wants to call it, and build a hardcore gaming machine, which took 3 years to do. And now we have that hardware gaming machine. So now you have a stable Xbox Live. You have a feature set of things where your money is worth what you're paying for, getting your free games monthly. And don't act like some of the games you get aren't bad. Like, honestly, when you start doing comparisons, they're not bad. You've been getting some really good games with gold games and some pretty solid deals. Though I do love PlayStation's flash deal. The flash sales? Their flash sales are pretty incredible. I really wish Microsoft would do something like that. I think they have something similar, but I've never seen them go that low to like $5 for damn near every game, which is just insane. But I digress. Microsoft then turns around, presents this new hardware for $500. It's not for everybody. I told Anchorman this. I told everybody this. No one's listening to me. So when the console finally gets announced at $499, everyone's disappointed. That's not no one's fault but your own. But those who did listen, those who knew that this was a premium device, those who knew this was a niche product, those who knew this was going to be for the hardcore, when that price said $499, it was nothing. We brushed it off like dirt off the shoulder because we knew exactly what it was for. And if you have an Xbox One, there's still no reason to complain. Trade your Xbox One in. Go ahead and get yourself the Xbox One Scorpio or X or whatever you want to call it. And pick that console up because you know that's going to be the best console on the market. Or stop crying and stick with your Xbox One or your Xbox One S because at the end of the day, you're still going to be able to play these titles that's coming to the Xbox One X. Albeit in a less graphical, less resolution, and probably less framed faction, depending on what the game is, obviously. There's no multiplayer. But now we're talking about games. So now we have 22 timed or real exclusives, 42 games being shown, including some big marketing deals between now and next year, which is great for Microsoft. When you look at 2018, 2018 is lit. I'm gonna tell you that right now. If Anthem comes out next year with Metro, Dragon Ball Z, Code Vein, Monster Hunter, even though Monster Hunter's not their game, but Monster Hunter's on Xbox, bro. Monster Hunter is on Xbox, bro. Monster Hunt, bro. Monster Hunter. Hunter. Xbox. Monster Hunter's on Xbox, bro. That's huge. That is huge. You don't even understand how huge that is. You don't even understand how huge that is. I was completely blown away finding out that Monster Hunter was on Xbox. Monster Hunter World. Very exciting content. Very exciting news for me. You combine that with other PC titles that eventually come, games coming out this year like Conan and you got Black Desert and stuff like that. The update the Ark, which looks amazing. If they throw in Forza Horizon next year with Halo and any other new IPs, you got Sea of Thieves, a few other titles. I think Ori and the Blind Forest next year. Wow, that's starting to look pretty up. You throw Anthem in there, Metro in there. Next year's starting to look pretty lit. There's some games coming out for Xbox next year that's going to be really built from the ground up on the Xbox One X, and that's really potentially showing Microsoft strength. It doesn't look like Microsoft has a weak lineup in 2018. Say what you want about 2017, but it doesn't look like they have a weak lineup in 2018. Then you talk about the potential of games being built, which is the final stretch for this console. And I go back to what Seamus Blackley told me in the interview. And if you haven't heard me talk to the father of Xbox, I don't know what you're waiting for. You need to go listen to that interview. And in that interview, the one thing he said was sometimes new hardware leads to new games because now you need money from that board to turn around and show off this new hardware. And getting Scorpio 3 years ago was exactly what the Xbox brand needed. Is exactly what they needed to recoup after taking the L's over the course of the last couple of years, losing games like Fable, losing games like Scalebound, and getting new money to reinvest in new IPs. And now they're talking about building a game similar to Horizon Zero Dawn, since everybody cried for a game like that on Xbox. Apparently, everybody wants a Horizon Zero Dawn on Xbox, but apparently to some Xbox fans, Horizon Zero Dawn isn't that great. It's a bit hypocritical, but it is what it is. I'm excited for it. I think Horizon Zero Dawn is a great game. At the end of the day, I'm a gamer at heart regardless, though I prefer Xbox. So I'm sitting here saying to myself, Microsoft is working on these games. No one knows about them. And that's a smart thing to do. It's absolutely smart thing to do. You just got burned for Scalebound. You just got burned for Fable. Why in the hell would you talk about winter 2018 when a possibility those games might get pushed into 2019? If no one knows about them, no one can cry about anything. Worry about what's coming out this holiday and what's coming out in spring of 2018. And when 2018 E3 hit, you can see what else is coming out in the winter of 2018 and what we have in 2019. So it's just a sequence of things. I look at what they did. And again, I'm not a fan of sharing exclusives. I've never been a fan of this since day one. You guys know that. But I respect what they're trying to do as a business, and it's been working. Apparently, it's been working. So Microsoft knows what they're doing as a business. They're sustaining themselves enough to know that they can put out new hardware. They're going to be investing in new IP. They're going to be investing in new games. And we're all benefiting from that. Getting some of these games first on Xbox, on PC, we're all benefiting from that. And that's great. That is absolutely great. I remember when Ark hit. It's one of my favorite games on the platform. One of my favorite games. I'm literally still playing that game to this day. And an entire year on Xbox before it even hit the PS4. Millions of people bought this game on Xbox. Millions. You couldn't get this game nowhere else. And that's what's important. Everybody talks about perception. Oh, Sony has Star Wars Battlefront. People think it's going to be exclusive. Oh, Sony has Destiny, and people are going to think it's exclusive. Imagine when Anthem dropped and you start seeing that Xbox logo pop up everywhere. And when Metro dropped, and you start seeing that Xbox logo pop up everywhere, and you see how graphically intensive they are. Oh no, the PlayStation fans won't let you think that, oh, it's exclusive. They won't let you think that. They'll do their damnness to make sure that you know it's a multi-plat. But the casuals won't know, remember? Because it's the perception. It's the perception of having those marketing deals. And I wouldn't be surprised if next year not Witcher, excuse me, if Cyberpunk 2077 showed up on Microsoft stage. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, if you think CD Projekt Red is not working with Microsoft and the Xbox Scorpio on that game, you'd be a fool. You'd be a fool. I can tell you that right now. They're going to use that hardware to make the best game they possibly can make. So for me, man, I'm just sitting here saying to myself, I like what they did at the show. I really did. And when I said that, people didn't like it. But now you can go back and you can look at what they have on the Xbox. You can look at the abundance of game that they're showing. Even Shadow of War, which they literally, they pushed that game back too much just to work on Scorpio. They pushed that game back. And Scorpio is going to have the best version of that game. So again, when you look at the overall platform over the next year and a half, it's worth the money. It absolutely is. And if you have an Xbox, you upgrade. You don't wait, you upgrade. I have 2 Xboxes. You can say goodbye to both the S and the OG. Those are gone. I am upgrading day one. There is nothing that's going to stop me from upgrading day one. And that console is for me. I see a ton of media outlets out there talking about who is this console for? Obviously, it's not you. So please stop writing your BS articles because the console is for me and every other hardcore Xbox guy out there that wants the best. And that's what it's about, man. Gaming. It's not about the big AAA exclusives. Those will come. Respect the diversity and the effort that Microsoft put out to put 42 games on stage, 22 games that are timed or actually are exclusive. And some of those games might not even go to PS4. Some of those games may go to PS4. We don't know. But at the end of the day, it's about the effort. And the perception is there. And it gives the Xbox strength. And regardless of what people think, that puts Microsoft in a prime position. There's a reason. There's a reason why Microsoft and Nintendo were the 2 top platforms talked about at E3. There's a reason why their booths were filled with people at E3. There is a reason. And Microsoft is smart. The forums and the places that you go to read news and what people are saying is minor to the actual world. Because people outside of the world, people outside of those forums, people outside of those chats can actually think for themselves and don't have a hive mind. Those casuals and those people that went to E3, they knew what they saw and they were impressed. And that's why people want Xbox One X. And that's why I think this console is going to do better than Microsoft expects it to do. And when all those games hit and all those indies drop and all their exclusives hit, Microsoft will be in prime position come 2018 to have one of the best years since this generation has begun. And to me, that's huge. So I really think Microsoft has put themselves in a great position future-wise. IPs are coming, plus their own first-party studios are working on stuff, and they have some new stuff coming. And they're playful guys, the playful devs who are the guys who work on Super Lucky Tail. I've already spoken to them, and they're already bringing more platformers to Xbox. And that's huge. Knowing that, that's huge. They said they're already working on something else. And I love that. Seeing Ori from Moon Studios, I love that. That's huge, man. And that's big. So if you're an Xbox gamer, be excited. Be happy. Be happy. Because you know why? 6 months ago, people were miserable, ready to slit their wrists and let the blood drip. It was brutal. People giving up. Oh, I'm leaving Xbox. I can't take it. They betrayed me. Somebody get me a Kleenex. That's exactly what it was like. It was pretty pathetic. And I have to admit myself, I was a little bit upset too. Not at the fact that Microsoft wasn't going to recover, but at the fact that they had lost a diverse title in Scalebound, that they didn't put out an RPG. And now I have an abundance of them coming. So of course I'm going to be excited. Of course I'm going to be happy. And I'm sure we'll see more stuff from them in the future. So listen, it's been great. It's been a great week. Had a lot of fun with my team. Just to run through everybody else, Ubisoft, that Beyond Good and Evil game, Beyond Good and Evil 2, it's going to be huge. It's going to be huge. I hope it comes out soon. That's the type of game look like it's not going to come out for 4 or 5 years. But I really hope that game comes out. Just based on what I've heard about this game is going to be humongous. Might be Ubisoft's biggest game ever. I'm telling you. So I'm definitely going to be trying to reach out to the director and the producer of that game. Hopefully I get him on the show and I'm able to chat with him about Beyond Good and Evil 2, which I think is huge. But that's the conference wasn't that great, but they threw one hell of a party. That party was amazing. Nobody throws a party like a Bethesda party. Bro, I will listen, I will go to E3 every year just to go to Bethesda's party. Absolutely amazing. An amazing party. I probably gained 5 pounds at that party. Bro, they had like grilled corn on a cob and it was hot. I never had any corn like that before. It was like corn. It was like grilled with like Parmesan cheese on it. What? Why? I'm trying to lose weight. This is insane. They had ribs. They had shish kebab. Dude, oh my God. I just can't talk about it no more. It was too much. At the end of the day, they had In-N-Out burgers, ice cream. Like this was like a fat man's dream. Bro, there was no possible way I was walking out there without gaining weight. Insane party. Their showcase wasn't that great. However, Wolfenstein looked amazing. And if you're into Beyond Good and Evil, that was one of the best trailers I had ever seen. Scary as shit. And I have to say the S word because I was really that shook. That was pretty scary, but it was dope. And if you're into horror, that's the game to get. I don't think I've seen a game scarier than that in a long time. Very impressed with what they showed at Bethesda when it came to the Evil Within 2. EA, man, listen, EA is EA. I didn't really see anything from them that really blew me away besides the Anthem game, which was at Xbox conference. Got a chance to play Madden. We'll be linking up with the EA team to try to get some exclusive info on Madden. Being that I live in Orlando and I'm so close to Orlando and EA Tiburon is in Orlando where they build Madden at, I made a connection there and I'll be talking with some people to get an inside scoop and tour of EA Studios. So that's dope and that's big for us over at Tick. And I can't wait to get that done and get a chance to go check that out before the game release and talk more about Madden for all the sports heads out there trying to find out about Madden, which I think looks really impressive this year. The change of the Frostbite engine on Madden is actually significant. You can see the difference in the player models. You can see the difference in the way they move, the way they throw the ball, the way they tackle. There's a difference. I give the guys at Madden their props and for moving to the Frostbite engine. It really feels definitely more realistic. And in 4K, it looks great. It looks great. Besides that, Sony's conference, I thought Spider-Man was amazing. I didn't get a chance to play any Sony games. I really tried. Everything was on some type of schedule. I hated it. I just really dislike what they had with the schedule thing. But Destiny looked cool. And Spider-Man was amazing. God of War looked amazing. A lot of their exclusives look great. And they're going to do great. And they're going to rate high. That's what they do. And I think Sony, obviously, right now, I think Sony is in a position of comfort. That's how I feel. I think that's how Nick felt as well. After we watched their conference, they just were in a position of comfort where they kind of felt like because they're in the driver's seat and they're ahead so much, they don't even really have to do much to kind of present competition at this point. And I think that's a mistake, man. I think if you're like Jordan, you go for the kill. You just stomp and stomp and stomp until this thing doesn't get up. And Microsoft is fighting back. And I think they're going to be surprised. I think Microsoft is not going to make a comeback. And that's not what I'm saying. But I do think Microsoft has the potential to truly regain some people that may be on the fence between wanting to pick up a high-end PC or even a mid-gen PC and pick up an Xbox One X, or somebody who has a PS4 who may be interested in just multiplats and want to buy a console that's going to play the best multiplats and pick up an Xbox One X. And trust me, there are a lot of people out there. You'd be surprised how many people truly buy the best console that they can get because they like to play multiplats and third-party games. And now Microsoft is in that position, so they have an opportunity to really make a dent, as well as just having a 4K Blu-ray player and just being a great piece of tech overall at $500 and cheaper if you trade in a platform or trade in some games or something like that. So, I think Sony had a great conference. I don't think it was better than Microsoft's conference, obviously, because they showed the same stuff from last year. Microsoft did show some stuff from last year, but I truly just loved seeing the Japanese effort, the PC effort, the indie effort, and then seeing their own games and getting good gameplay footage of Sea of Thieves, seeing Crackdown's campaign in action, knowing Cuphead's release date, seeing Ashen again on stage after 2 years. They just did a great job, in my opinion. I don't care what no one says. I just think they did a great job. And then, of course, Nintendo, man, killed it. I literally was contemplating, like, damn, maybe I should trade my Pro in for a Switch. Metroid is coming back. That's huge to me. Super Mario Odyssey is just nuts. Okay. The line for that was just nuts. And they were giving out hats that had like eyes on it, like the actual Mario cap, but it was like a visor. It was dope. I was like, damn, I got to get one for my son. And then I found out what a line was and just left. I'm like, no, I'm not doing it. I just can't. It's way too much. I'm not doing it. But listen, it was amazing. That Mario, the Nintendo Direct presentation was great. It just really shows you that Nintendo, regardless of whether they get major third-party exclusives or not, they just have a pedigree of, falling on their face and recovering. They know how to recover. Whether it was from the Wii and the Wii, from the N64 or the GameCube to the Wii and then the Wii U to the Switch. They just know how to recover. And this idea of coming up with a hybrid console was genius. They were able to grab both their demographics, the hardcore guys on platforms and the hardcore who are on handheld with the DS. So I think that was very important. I just fear, and this is my thoughts, I fear the future of the platform. Right now, everything is great, but I fear the future of when third parties really start to utilize the PS4 Pro and the Xbox One X and really start to push the hardware. When you see games like Metro and you see Anthem, I don't think those games can run on Switch. If you do, you are getting the worst and most poorest version you possibly can get on the Switch. So that's my only fear when it comes to that. But besides that, I think Nintendo had a great presentation, absolutely a great presentation, and they really appealed to their base, and they actually appealed to me. It really did. I'm really on the fence about getting a Switch, especially taking a 5-hour flight from Florida to LA. I definitely needed a Switch for that 5 hours. So yeah, man, I just think overall E3 was a lot of fun. Played a ton of games, met a ton of people. Got a chance to see Phil. Phil was just covered in bodyguards like the president because the public was there. There was no incidents that I can think of, which was great. But a lot of us media, man, we just weren't happy. A lot of people, just because I guess they opened it to the public, you kind of, I guess you can say, you kind of felt second class a little bit. Like you're trying to do your job, and it's hard to do your job when someone who's not doing their job but just trying to play the game kind of interferes or it's kind of taking up the time of someone you're trying to talk to. And that's kind of like a pain in the butt in itself. And, you kind of want the same line as a regular person. You're not getting I don't know, maybe it's just me, maybe I'm spoiled, maybe it's just some bougie stuff that I'm saying, but at the end of the day, you work really hard to gain this media badge and this status, and then you get treated like everybody else. It kind of sucks in a way. But they did try their best to try to hook the media up with our own private room, and you had different little foods like donuts and pastries and coffee and things like that. It was quiet and free Wi-Fi. It was awesome. It was, those little things were nice. Those were nice little touches for the media area and everything. So I thought that was pretty nice on that regard. But a lot of people weren't happy. At least the first day, they weren't happy. But in the end, man, you just got to do your job, and you connect with so many people. I connected with the guys over at Thrustmaster, and we'll be able to get hardware from them now, which is just great. This is so huge. I didn't think it was going to work out, but having a conversation with them was big. And now I'm able to reach out to the actual VP of Thrustmaster and communicate with him to try to work out something where we can get hardware on the latest steering wheels, flight sticks, headsets from Thrustmaster and do reviews on them on TICGN. I got a chance to chat with the Lucid Sound the new Lucid sound, the LS35Xs that's coming out for Xbox One X at the end of the year, which actually supports Dolby Atmos. We'll be able to chat with them and get hardware to do hardware reviews for those headsets, which were huge connection for us out there, as well as I got a chance to chat with oh man, I'm missing one. Who am I missing? Thrustmaster, them, and a group called Bloody, which makes these amazing infrared keyboards, which last a long time. It's like metal on metal, and every time it crosses the infrared line, it actually types, and it's like lasts longer and all this stuff like that. But they just had an amazing headset, just amazing hardware, and we chatted with them. So to me, that's huge. Those are big connections. The EA connection was big for us. And we really worked hard to try to communicate with big third parties. Konami, we got a great connect with Konami. Got a great chance to chat with the guys over at Rebellion. We got Bandai Namco. I mean, it just was huge. It was just huge. Just a lot of huge connections and a lot of communication to really help the brand grow. Just very happy with all the hard work that we did at E3. And I'm just glad that we were able to report so much and people were able to see so much and get the news that they wanted on TICGN. If you didn't want to go to IG on a GameSpot, you had another place to go. And I'm glad that that content was there. So yeah, man, listen, I thought Microsoft had a great show. I had to give them like an 8.5 out of 10, almost a 9. I initially gave them a 9, but because I guess they didn't have that big AAA, I kind of dropped the point. But for the most part, I just felt they had a great show, so I gave them like an 8.5. I thought Sony had a great show. I gave them a 7 because I'm not a fan of VR, and I think they spent way too much time on VR. And I get it; that's the part of their show. Some people like VR and they have to appeal to their VR fan base, but I'm not getting VR. So for me, this is my opinion. If I'm not getting VR, I have no interest in any of the VR games unless they're coming to consoles. And honestly, the only game that really impressed me there was Moss, the Moss game with the little mouse. So besides that, I really wasn't impressed with anything else other than what they already had shown. Detroit, which looks pretty interesting. God of War, Spider-Man, Days Gone, things like that. So I had gave them a 7. Bethesda just was like a 5. Their show was just terrible, other than what we've seen at the end of the show with the 2 games that they presented that were new. But because they had a great party, man, you can move that up to a 7. I can't wait to go to another one. And then of course, Ubisoft had an amazing show. I just think they just had a great presentation. A lot of games that they showed off was pretty cool. That pirate game, which was solid, even though that game is only ships only, based on what I understand. Whereas Sea of Thieves is actually an adventure you can get off land. I thought that the bones, what I forget what it's called, something bones and something. I don't know what it is, but anyway, I thought that the show was pretty good. And I would have to rate them also probably like an 8. It was up there with Microsoft's show. Beyond Good and Evil was just huge. Just kind of understanding what that game is trying to be. Like, actually, they're trying to make it almost like Mass Effect in a way where like you're traveling to different, it's just crazy. It's pretty crazy. A huge, big action RPG. This is like nuts. So looking forward to all these games that they have coming out with Ubisoft, and hopefully these games work. Assassin's Creed looked amazing as well. Nintendo, of course, like I said, was amazing. I gave Nintendo damn near an 8.5, almost a 9, man. Like they really stepping their game up these last couple of years. And of course, they're still trying to get that third party support as well. So, my final verdicts for everything was, those scores, and E3 overall had a lot of fun. This will be my last E3 for a while. I've groomed the team members that I want to groom. For next year, I will not be attending. I need to take some time off. And maybe in 2020 or 2019, I may return. But right now, I need to take a break from E3. So I'll be doing that, and we'll have some new members heading out there supporting and getting content for Tech Podcasts and TICGN and things like that. So listen, man, I want to thank everybody for stopping. Now I'm going to go ahead and try to answer a few questions for anyone interested in leaving a few questions. And it's been good. It's been a good week for both Tech Podcasts and TICGN. Happy Father's Day to all the fathers. I know it's the next day, but happy Father's Day to all the gaming fathers out there and all those guys out there that support Tech Podcasts. If you're a father, that's for you. Happy Father's Day. God bless you and your children. And of course, we'll be back to regular scheduled programming tomorrow. Anchorman and his team can finally return. I've had my vengeance on them a week of only Tick Podcasts and Super Podshots, which I think was pretty damn awesome. You will get the multiverse returning back to their regularly scheduled programming. You'll get that comic book movie content. There's a ton of stuff for them to talk about, as well as gaming. And then, of course, 2XP, they'll get back to debating. Trophy Life will return to their regularly scheduled programming with PlayStation content. And I know Nick has a ton of stuff to talk about when it comes to PlayStation. And of course, Tick Podcast will return on Thursdays as we get back to talking about Xbox and continue to focus on what's coming out for the fall with Xbox and what you guys should be checking out and all the news and buzz that's going on with Microsoft as usual. So again, go ahead and start leaving your questions. I'm going to go ahead and end the show for the MP3 crowd. Want to thank everybody for stopping out. We had almost up to 62 people in chat. So again, thank you for the support. Any thumbs up is greatly appreciated. Any share is greatly appreciated to help spread the word. A Tick Podcast is a great place to get your content for Xbox and anything else if you're into other things we have the programming for it. So again, man, I'm your host, KLR, the last son of Planet Xbox, and I'm off this planet. Peace. All right. So, man, I'm here. I'm looking at the chat right now. Hey, what's going on, Chaotic Panther? What's going on, Other Zinc? Thank you, brother, for stopping in. Let's see. First question: heard anything on Lost Pisces? I got a chance to talk with those guys. I'm going to do a updated show with them. The game was turning out really good, but they didn't go to E3. They stayed back to continue to work on their game. It is coming to Xbox. It is being built for Vive and VR, but you can play it without that on Xbox. And I'm going to reach out to them to get them on the red carpet, as well as a ton of other indie developers on the red carpet as soon as I possibly can. So you can definitely look out for that. Leonardo SX, do you think Microsoft will bring in a variety of colors for the Xbox One X as they did for the Xbox One S? My understanding is that they won't. According to Aaron Greenberg, if you listen to our last interview, our E3 interview, actually, I know it was kind of hard to hear. We had a mic issue, but he stated that because the hardware is brand new, they won't be doing any like colored bundles because it's a new system. I think the S being just a remodel and sort of an update of the OG Xbox One, it might have been easier to do, but I think because this is such a new console, is a new system in a way, even though it's a mid-gen upgrade, they said, at least he told me, that they won't be. Now, it's not to say they won't have games bundled with it like normal, but I don't, according to them, I don't think we're going to have any customized consoles. If we do, I wouldn't be surprised. And I did ask him, would they have like a crackdown customized console with colors and, Assassin's Creed? And he told me no, they don't plan to do that. So maybe those things will change in the next couple of months. But as of right now, no, we won't have any colored consoles. D21 exclusive asks, what's going on, D? Thank you for stopping in. Did you ask Bandai Namco about backwards compatible Dragon Ball Z games? And do you think we will get more cross-play games for Switch and Xbox Ones besides Rocket League and Minecraft? As far as Bandai Namco, I did not. I do apologize for that, man. It has so much going on. I tried to remember as much as I could, and I had already left the Bandai Namco booth after Nick had got some inside scoops on like Ni no Kuni 2 and Dragon Ball and Project Cars and stuff like that. So I had stepped out of the booth for that. However, I wouldn't be surprised if we got one or two. I think Bandai Namco really likes Microsoft. It's one of the few and I said that. I said, listen, I'm just grateful that you guys are working with Microsoft. And they said they understand because there's not a lot of Japanese developers working with Microsoft because the console doesn't sell in Japan. They told me this. This is exactly what they said. And because the console doesn't sell in Japan, they don't make games for the platform. But Bandai Namco likes live. They really like Microsoft's infrastructure and their online, and that's why they continue to put games on the platform. So big shout out to Bandai Namco, man. Be appreciative of Bandai Namco. Even if you don't buy all their games, they're trying. They're putting their content on the Xbox, and that's pretty cool. So we'll see what happens in the future when it comes to that. Megatron 1, what up, Kyle? What up, Mega? Thank you for stopping in, brother. Greatly appreciate you, man. Oh yeah, as far as crossplay is concerned, absolutely. I think Microsoft will do more crossplay with both PC and Nintendo Switch. I think if the Switch continues to get third-party games that Microsoft shares with them, yes, you will see a ton of because Nintendo's already in. Clearly, if they're doing Rocket League and they're doing Minecraft, Nintendo's already in. If Minecraft runs on live, so you need a live account just to play Minecraft on the Switch. That's the Switch. That's one hell of a switch. You know what I'm saying? Like you're actually using Xbox Live on Nintendo Switch, and you need a live account in order to play Minecraft cross play with other Xbox players and PC gamers. That's huge. And I think that's one of the reasons why Sony said hell no. Because I think if you put live on there, man, it might have put PSN to shame. Maybe. Hey, I'm just saying. Um, LM Beck says crossplay push talk acts Phil about Final Fantasy 14. Bro, we can't get Final Fantasy 14 because Sony don't want to do crossplay. That's just pretty much what it is. Nintendo Square wants to do crossplay. Microsoft is now willing to do crossplay. Sony is not willing to do crossplay. And because of that, we won't be getting Final Fantasy 14. And that's disappointing. XDOS 216. Do you think the X is somewhat of a next gen with all the innovations? Absolutely. It's definitely a next gen console, but it's a mid gen upgrade. Now, when the next console comes out after PS5 and they really step into the next generation of consoles, you can call that a next generation console, but it'll just be able to play all the older games from the OG Xbox 360 and the Xbox One, and then whatever new hardware and other new games will be on. But according to Microsoft, they don't plan to do this. Like they don't plan to stop. Like there's no stoppage in tech. You'll just continue to play games and just upgrade the hardware and just think like a PC. New games will continue to come out over time. You'll have a launch lineup, but it's not really a launch lineup. It's kind of like what's happening with Scorpio. You have a launch lineup of games. You'll have your Forzas and you'll have your Crackdowns and your Shadow of War and your Assassin's Creeds and stuff like that. But they're not launching with the console. They're just launching around the console. And I think that's what's going to happen with Xbox going forward. Whereas PlayStation will continue to do generations and launch games, like a regular generation. They don't plan to stop, at least according to their higher ups, they don't plan to stop doing generations. And I don't know if that's great for the PlayStation gamer because then you turn around and have to hold on to your PS4. Whereas meanwhile, the Xbox gamer just moves on to a new console and all of our content follows us and sticks to our account. And I think to me, that's just great. And anybody who thinks that's not great is a dummy. And that's just the truth. Kelvin Brannon, what's up, brother? The DX man is in the house. Did you get a chance to see Gears of War 4 played on Xbox One X? I did not. They didn't have it playing, but they did show us a private screening of Gears of War and how it looked compared to the OG Xbox. And it is stunning. It is absolutely stunning. Everything that I said about the game running in 4K last year and then seeing it in HDR on the Xbox One S was amazing. Now imagine seeing it in 4K with HDR. It's nuts. It's bananas, bro. It's just graphically impressive. And when you put them side by side in a picture, you won't see it. You have to see it in motion. It's almost like when you see a game go from 30 frames per second and then see a game go to 60 frames per second. There is a visual actual difference. Like seriously, there's a visual difference in the game, even though it's like you can't see, like it's like you can't see frames, but you can. I don't know how to describe it. If anybody's playing games, if you like when they did Halo, for example, and they had Halo, I think it was at 30. I can't remember which game it was, and they bumped it to 60. And when you see it in 60 and remember how it was in 30, it's a significant difference. Like you see it. It's hard to explain, but you'll see it. And when you get years, you'll see it. It's pretty nuts. It's definitely nuts. Let's see here. Jose Enrique, what's up, brother? Thank you for stopping in tonight. Um, asks, do you think Crackdown 3 will sell fine as a launch title to the S? Do you think games like Nino Kuni 2 and Wolfenstein 2 will flop for being sandwiched against other big titles? I don't think. Well, first, let me start with the flops. I don't think Wolfenstein will flop, and I don't think Nino Kuni 2 will flop. One, Nino Kuni 2 has a cult following. That game is just quality. It screams quality. Just looking at the game, seeing it and playing it and watching it at the Namco Bandai area where only the media can get in and actually get hands-on and really kind of see it. It was really impressive. I mean, it screams quality, man. Game looks extremely fun. And if you love Nino Kuni 2, I think the game will sell. Will it sell gangbusters like a Horizon Zero Dawn? I don't think so. I think it'll sell 1-2 million, but I don't, but it's going to sell. Wolfenstein is going to sell just because it's Wolfenstein and the first game was amazing. I think people will pick up Wolfenstein over time and it eventually hit, whatever it needs to hit. But it's a Bethesda game, and Bethesda does extremely well with their titles, and I expect Wolfenstein to do well as well. I think Crackdown 3 will sell okay. I don't think it's going to be blowing things away unless they have a super impressive showing at Gamescom with the multiplayer. And I'm not trying to be down on Crackdown. I really am not. Based on what I played, it's a very fun game. People should be excited for Crackdown, but it's not for everyone. It's just one of those games. Just Crackdown is just one of those games where if you like the first one and you hate the second one, Crackdown 3 is for you because it's a lot like the first game. It really is, except there's just some control improvements, and things like that. But it literally graphically looks almost the same. Like graphically, color-wise, it looks amazing. Graphically, it's not blowing no doors off anything. It's not really taking advantage of the Xbox One X. So they need to wow people with the multiplayer. Truly need to wow people with the multiplayer. The destruction in the cloud and all that stuff needs to be presented, and it needs to be shown, and it needs to work. If it doesn't work, that game is dead in the water. I hate to say that. Being 100% honest with you, if the cloud does not work, if they put this game out and the multiplayer doesn't do what they've been saying it's supposed to do, this game is dead in the water, and Crackdown 3 will be a forgotten franchise because it's good. Single player campaign will be fun, but it's only 15 hours. And after you beat the 15-hour game, you can go back in and do a speed run and knock it out in 3 hours. And that's not a lot of gameplay when you're playing 4-player co-op. It's really not. You literally can blow through the game in a meager amount of time with 4 people because everybody can go to a different location and take out a boss. That's 3 other bosses you don't have to worry about if you're playing single player. So you think about that, you'll pretty much wipe out the single player campaign in like no time. And then multiplayer is really what you're kind of counting on to sustain yourself long term. And I just don't know unless the multiplayer blows everything out the water and it does exactly what they say. I don't know if it will do it. So that's my only concern with the game. If you love the first Crackdown, it's worth getting. If you don't like Crackdown, I don't think it's going to turn you on to get it. That's how I look at it. But there's a ton of other games that I think Microsoft did extremely well with, including Sea of Thieves, and I think a lot of people will be interested in. Trust me, Sea of Thieves was like the game over in the Microsoft section. There was no line bigger and longer than the Sea of Thieves line. And the way the crowd was cheering and yelling and supporting each other and supporting each team, this game is ripe. This game is ripe for like Mixer. It's gonna be crazy on Mixer. Let's see here. Megatron asks, what did you think of Observer in Raiders of a Broken Planet? I didn't get a chance to check out Observer. However, I did play Raiders of a Broken Planet, and I thought it was really unique. And I think it's going to be a really good indie game. That's another game I forgot about. Raiders of a Lost Planet is made by Mercury Steam, the guys who make the new Castlevania. And Planet is a third-person shooter, and each character has a different skill set. And it's pretty cool, man. I like it a lot. I think if it comes out at $29.99, I might pick it up. I don't know if I'll pick it up for 60, but definitely at $29.99, it's really impressive. I had a lot of fun with the game. I like the stealth. I like the action that was a part of the game and stuff like that. I thought Razor of a Broken Planet was very interesting and has potential to do well on Xbox. Um, it really does. Let's see. XDOS 216 says, "Did you go to Xbox Fans Fest this year? If so, how was it?" I did not. For some reason, I can't get in the Fan Fest, man. I tried. Fan Fest is just like you got to get lucky. I missed the opportunity to sign up the first time, and then I didn't get lucky on a raffle, so I didn't get a chance to get in. So I have nothing to say about Fan Fest. I did hear it was fun. Some people got some cool stuff. I think some fans got some. They got a 2 terabyte hard drive, and like some other stuff, some shirts, I think, or something like that, or whatever. But for the most part, it was just Fan Fest. Everybody got a chance to play games on Scorpio and the dev kits and stuff like that. So that's based on what I heard. Oh, Drop D on Chain says Dragon Ball Fighter Z and Code Vein are two Bandai Namco games we should definitely support. Phil made a point to bring these over, and Bandai were better for it. I like to see the partnership to go. I do too. I would love to see Bandai Namco and Microsoft work on some type of exclusive, third-party exclusive. I think they have a good relationship. I respect Bandai Namco for working with Microsoft out of so many developers, and I think Code Vein is something that we should support. And Dragon Ball Z, without question, is going to be supported. When you guys get your hands on this game is going to be on Mixer a lot. A lot. This game is sick. Like, I'm not even joking. I didn't even want to leave. Like, literally, I had people behind me like, "Hey, man, you going to give up the sticks?" And I was like, "No, go to the other side." I mean, what were they going to do? They weren't going to move me. I mean, I'm Kal-El. They're not going to do nothing to me. They had to move to the other side. Yeah, they was upset, but I mean, it is what it is. But I'm just telling you right now, it was nuts, man. The game is just absolutely amazing. It was pretty badass. Oh man, I had a lot of fun on that game. Um, Jose Enrique says, "Do you?" Oh no, I answered that question already. Oh, I'm sorry. X XDOS 216 says, "Do you think we will get a newer version of the Elite controller? You might get like a modded version. I don't think so though. I don't think they'll come out with an Elite controller anytime soon. There's a lot of R&D in these controllers, man. You'd be surprised how much money Microsoft spends on controllers. It's pretty crazy. They spend more on controllers than they spend on the goddamn hardware to like customize the damn hardware. You'll get a ton of customized controls before you get hardware. So I don't know if they'll invest more in the Elite controller. They could invest more in making it more durable. Because I know a lot of people complain about its durability, but I don't know if you'll get a new Elite controller. A lot of people will probably be pissed off after they spent 150 on the regular one. Fal Davikin says, "Did you get an interview with the Rare team? I just rejoined the stream. My internet cut out." I did not, but Craig Duncan, I got a chance to hit the boss of Rare. And he told me we have to do a show. He told me, I didn't even ask him. He told me he has to come on a show and we have to do a show. So I am going to be reaching out. This week is my whole networking week. I got to reach out to a ton of people this week, one by one, hit up their emails and contact them and start setting stuff up for both the website and the podcast. So yes, I will be hitting up Craig. We will have Craig on the show hopefully in July or August. And we'll talk Sea of Thieves. We'll talk Sea of Thieves, and he is ready to talk Sea of Thieves, and that's awesome. So we'll have him on. So don't worry about that. Other Zing said, "Did you play Forza Motorsport 7? I did not, but I did get the inside scoop on it, which was better. Playing Forza 7, I didn't get a chance to play it. The line was just nuts. And yeah, it was just crazy. I wasn't gonna wait on that line. I had too much work to do. But getting the behind the scenes was better because I got an understanding of the game. I got to see the game. I got to see how it plays. I got to see the new view. They have a new view in the game where when you go first person, instead of seeing your hands on the steering wheel, they take it a step further. And right before you go outside to the hood, you're right where the speedometer is at. that little area where the speedometer is, and there's no steering wheel. So you're kind of like it's like a dash. It's like a dash cam, like right around that area. And they think a lot of people has been asking for that dash cam where they can get close enough where they're not out the window, but the steering wheel's not in the way. So you can see the speedometer and you can still see the car without being on the hood. Pretty dope. Pretty dope. And then of course, they talked about all the dynamic weather and the dynamic lighting and um the new upgrades they have and the new sound and the customizations to the character and the customizations to the car and having over 700 cars in the game and the biggest fleet of Porsche, Lamborghini, and Ferraris. And it's gonna be nuts. It's gonna be nuts, bro. If you love Forza, bro, this might be the best Forza Motorsport. This might be the highest rated Forza Motorsport 7 ever. Or shall I say Motorsport ever? At least this generation. I think it may be on a level of 4, which a lot of people praise a lot. Sorry, I just jumped a bit. Give me half a second. Let me see. Let me see. Let me see. Okay, Drop D Unchained says, did the Xbox E3 crowd come off as berserk in person as they did on the stream? They did. The Xbox crowd cheered a lot. The only time they didn't cheer was when that price was $4.99, and I was the only one cheering because I didn't have to play Alien Isolation or call myself the last on the planet PlayStation. So for me, people looked at me like I was nuts. Like, why the hell are you cheering for a $4.99 console? But they didn't know what was going on between me and Anchorman. So I was ecstatic that it was exactly what I thought it was going to be. A lot of people were disappointed with the price and they tried to flip the script, man, but you just couldn't. The presentation was just too good and the amount of games shown was pretty dope. So they had a great show. But yeah, the crowd was going crazy at every turn, especially when the OG Xbox games came up, but it was showing Crimson Skies and everything gets updated, the res, and it was pretty nice, man. It's pretty dope. Um, Uh, XBL Dynamatrix, what up, brother? Thank you for stopping in. Asks Cal, do you think Microsoft is walking on thin ice, throwing the term true 4K all over the place? If you go to the main Xbox site, 4K now includes checkerboarding and dynamic 4K, which is not true 4K. I said this, no one wanted to listen to me. People think I try to bash Xbox on purpose or I try to put down Xbox when they try to do something positive. I always keep it 100. I'm a huge Xbox fan, but I'm not stupid. I'm not a kiss ass, and I'm not a corporate shill. I'm telling you, I said this months ago. Them using this true 4K was going to bite them in the ass. I never liked the term, especially knowing that if a game did not hit 4K, it was going to be a problem. It was gonna explode in their face. And now they have a few games that aren't hitting 8 or 4K, and it's coming to bite them in the ass. And you have people saying, "Why should I buy a console when the console is not doing what they said it was going to do? When you said it was going to be 4K, uncompromised. This is what you said. However, they also stated it was up to third-party developers. They also said they wouldn't control third-party developers. And they also stated that they were the ones that were only going to try to push their own first-party games to 4K, 60 frames per second. So, listen, Microsoft is, they when it comes to marketing terms, of all things, when it comes to marketing terms, they're very wishy-washy. They really are. You really have to listen to what they're saying. They never said that the console was going to be a true native 4K console. They never said that. They said it's going to be a true 4K console. Meanwhile, Sony is now using dynamic 4K because a good portion of their games will be 4K. A good portion of Microsoft games will be, a good portion of their games are checkerboard up to 4K. Meanwhile, Microsoft's console will probably have a large portion of 4K titles, but you're going to have a good amount of checkerboard or upscale games. The question is, where is that checkerboard starting? If Sony starts at 1800 or 1440, whatever, then Microsoft should start probably around 19 or the 2000s before it goes up to actual 4K. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. It could be 1800 too. I have no idea. But again, I think this term is going to bite them in the butt in the long term. I knew it was going to bite them in the butt in the long term. I never liked it. And yeah, it'll definitely be bad long term if they don't figure out a way to try to fix the term, because initially they didn't put checkerboarding and dynamic. Now you see them put checkerboarding and dynamic. It's not cool. It's one of the things I don't like. Is why people think Microsoft is sneaky, and they really shouldn't. They If they really want to fix their reputation, they really need to be careful the way they present certain things, and that's just it's not a good look. Let's see here. Oh, looks like we're about to finish up. Prime 10 Mugen asks, how did they get Xbox to sell in Japan with no Japanese support? Well, there's obviously Americans out in Japan. There's army bases in Japan. There are Westerners in Japan, and maybe some Japanese. They sold the original Xbox did pretty poorly. The 360 did amazingly well in Japan. One, because it was super easy to develop for in comparison to the PS3. Two, it was dominating worldwide before Sony was able to get into the game and really make a large, make a comeback. Three, they had to purchase a ton of Japanese support. So you think about Lost Odyssey and Blue Dragon, Infinite Undiscovery, Tales of Vesperia, Final Fantasy 13. They had a ton of Japanese support. You think about the 99 Nights games and all of the uh all of the games like Samurai Warriors and the Gundam games. All those games was on Xbox. The Virtual Fighters, Dead or Alive, man, they had a ton of Japanese support, so they did extremely well over there. However, with the Xbox One, and the Xbox 360 also had a better design than the original Xbox One. It stood up. You could stand it up. The OG Xbox just ergonomically just didn't fit. I said this from the jump. I always felt that it was flat. It was a box, and it was pretty because of the gloss over it or whatever. However, it was huge, and for a Japanese person who lives in a smaller house, ergonomics are really important, and being able to stand the PS4 up in comparison is huge. And then you think about all the games and the Japanese support that's not on the Xbox One is huge as well. So it just makes Nintendo and the PlayStation appeal way more than the OG Xbox One. But Microsoft is making an effort, and with the Xbox One X, they have an opportunity to represent it, show it off to the crowd. This console actually stands up on the side. Um, and you have an opportunity to get some Japanese support and maybe get people to pick up this new high-powered console if you can make it appeal to people at Tokyo Game Show, because they will be at Tokyo Game Show, and I think they will show off some more Japanese games. We'll see what happens. We will see what happens, but um, again, I can't stress this enough. For us Americans and some people around the world, people don't think console design is important. Nintendo, if you look at Nintendo and you look at Sony, they've always design good consoles, but they always try to make the consoles either vertical or have an appeal to where it doesn't take up space because they understand their own market. They get it. Whereas in America, some of the Americans, the American designers don't get it. They design a console for America, and that's why the Xbox appeals to the West more than it appeals to the East. But they have opportunity with the Xbox One X and any console going forward if they can continue to design consoles that way. They have an opportunity to really show off some awesome stuff and maybe gain the Japanese crowd back. But they have to do a lot of work. They have to do a lot of work, not just in Japan, but just internationally in general. You know, they don't market well internationally. This console's not being sold in a lot of places internationally, and they do a poor job to my international Xbox brethren out there who really want to support the Xbox, but just it makes it difficult because they don't get Xboxes where they live, or they don't get support where they live, and they truly like Xbox, and that's not a good thing. Microsoft has to do a better job at that. Let's see. Last side ninja. Do you think Phil should add the developers behind Ashen and Last Night to their first party? What do you think about Don't Nod, Life is Strange? Um, I would purchase Ashen, the Aurora 44. Absolutely. I think these guys are some of the most innovative, witty developers. Talking with them one on one, picking their brain, having an interview with them. I think these guys got it. They have it. Like there's some developers that just got it, and whatever they're going to put out going forward is going to be good. Ashen's going to be good. And I think whatever they put out going forward after Ashen is going to be good. They really thought out the box with Ashen. And people are going to be surprised how good this game is when it drops. So hopefully they pick them up. And I think that would be a good pickup. I think the idea Xbox game, seeing this game at $59.99 and having them like as a part of their other big titles, because literally it was a part of their media briefing behind the scenes. I've never seen an indie game behind the scenes. Last year, all they had was first party AAA. Year before that, first party AAA. So seeing this there says a lot to me, and I wouldn't be surprised if Microsoft purchased Aurora 44 down the road. I really wouldn't be surprised. As far as the last night goes, I would wait for this game to release. But just based on what we've seen, it looks so impressive and so interesting. It really is. And the combination of pixels and real time or next gen graphics is just a great aesthetic, man. Just genius, honestly, just truly genius. It catches you with the eyes immediately. People talk about these are phone games. Well, you go play Last Night on your phone if you want to. I'm going to play this on Xbox One X and 4K. And whether it's pixel or not, I think it's going to be an amazing story. It just looks like it's got depth. And I'm hyped for the game. I can't wait to check it out. Genesis fan 01 says, were you surprised to hear about the actual sales of Xbox One? What do you mean, like the overall sales? Not really. I'll be honest with you. I think a lot of people put too much stock in sales. I think a lot of people put too much stock in AAAs. Honestly, this generation, especially last generation, I would have been with you. AAAs was huge. Arcade games was okay. This generation is just completely different. I've played some games in the Idea Xbox program that just destroys some big AAA titles. That's just so much better. Just story and ingenuity and creativity. Just some AAA games that just don't compare. Sometimes having a big budget and putting out a big title doesn't mean that it's going to be a success. It doesn't mean that it's even good. How many games have we had that have been 6s, 5s, 4s? But these are huge titles. Don't put so much stock in AAA, man. And don't sleep on the indies. Trust me, don't do that. You'll be surprised. And that's why I'm impressed with Microsoft Conference. Say what you want about indie games. Don't sleep. It's a reason why I do on the red carpet and try to present these games to you guys, because you're missing out on some really good games. But Xbox One sales, man, it doesn't really matter. It's all about software. If you're selling software, you're making money. If you're selling subs, you're making money. Hardware is great because it allows market share, mind share, and allows you to sell your games. But if you're able to get those games out via PC and you're able to get those games out via Xbox, then you're doing okay, because software is what matters long term. And they're doing extremely well with both their subs, Game Pass, and their games. So kudos to Microsoft for figuring it out. Let's see. C Trigger says, I think all Xbox consumers should buy Monster Hunter to show Japanese developers that they should support the Xbox. I want Atlas to stop playing third fiddle to Square Enix. I agree. I think Square Enix has been the cream of the crop for a very long time. Atlas, they have a ton of awesome games. They should really get a lot more respect than they do. Monster Hunter needs to be supported. I am 100% with you. The Xbox fans need to support this game, or we may never get another Monster Hunter game from Capcom. So huge, very important that the Xbox base supports the game. I know a lot of Xbox fans won't, but the niche group of us that do like Japanese games, we should definitely support it. I think it's going to be a really good game. We're going to get more information on that going forward. They do have the original directors from the original Monster Hunter series and the new Monster Hunter series, both co-directing it together, and it's a mainstream title. And they said that they are removing some of the classes, I think, in the art or the skills from the Generation series, but they're going to be adding some new stuff that really defines characters and classes and stuff like that. So it's going to be pretty cool. And I look forward to seeing more about the game. I'm definitely excited about it. I heard they're going to have a showing on June 20th, which is tomorrow. So we may see some more stuff from Monster Hunter tomorrow. Make sure you tune in to TICGN.com, TICGN.com. And hopefully we'll have that news up for you guys. You can check it out. Jose Enrique said, "Did you hear that people are not interested in the last night due to the director's political beliefs and for supporting Gamergate?" I heard that the girl, whatever her name was, didn't like the game because he basically this game is about women taking over the future, and I don't know exactly what it is. This is what I'm hearing. Something about where women are in power and this guy is trying to break this. I'm all for it. I'm 100% buying this game. I'm buying this game just because it goes against Gamergate. Listen, I'm not trying to bash women at all. Okay, listen, women deserve equal white rights like every man. Okay, but at the same time, like games are a art, man. Stop trying to stop people's freedom of speech. You know what I'm saying? If you want to say the N word, you want to call me the N word, you want to call other people the N word, do so. You want to say whatever the F you want to say, do so. I don't really give a damn. It really doesn't bother me because I don't have to give that word power. I don't have to give anything politically power. It doesn't phase me. But at the end of the day, the things you say have consequences in other aspects. It could affect your job. It could affect your friendships. And those are the things that those people have to worry about. So yes, you have the freedom of speech. And some people don't even understand what freedom of speech is. And I don't want to get political. I never want to do political or politics when it comes to Tick Podcast. I stay away from it. This is a place when you come to Planet Xbox, we talk Xbox, and we don't talk about none of the nonsense of race, religion, and politics. I keep it out. But in this one instance, because of this game, I will say this. Developers should have the freedom to create what they want to create because that is the freedom of speech. That is what I was in the military for, fighting for our rights. That's what the men and women of the United States fight for. I'm an American foremost, and even if I am an African American, and some things that happen in this country do affect me, I'm an American first. Because this is the country that I was born in. This is the country I'm raised in. And my people and my family are from here. And I don't plan to go anywhere else. So I do respect and do honor a lot of the beliefs and things in America. So freedom of speech is one of those things. And I think it's super important that people are able to express themselves. When we stop allowing people to express themselves, we become like the countries that we dislike. And I don't think that's a good thing. So I just think that people should really just allow this guy to do his game. I'm excited for the game and just let him be who he wants to be. People are just too sensitive to so many things, and we really need to be stronger. We really need to be stronger when it comes to words. Yes, words hurt, but you need to be able to toughen up because the world is hard and the world is going to be harsh. And that's all I'm going to say on that. Oh man, listen, it's getting late, man. I got to end the show. I really want to I understand, Prince. I understand. Listen, man. Again, I'm not going to sit up here and fight every person that says the N-word. Once you start doing those things, that gives people power. As somebody who has family who were police officers or in New York, grew up in a melting pot of cultures and have been around so many different people, I don't want to say I'm an expert at different cultures and different people. I would say that I have a broader aspect of understanding different cultures and different people. And I understand that racism exists. And I understand that people say these things to hurt you. And once you start to get upset and you start to want to physically get into a confrontation with them over that, you lose because you're the one that gets arrested. You're the one that goes to prison. You're the one that gets an assault charge. And as an adult, we have to be able to sort of pull ourselves back from that. Now, if it becomes a physical situation, if a person comes up to you, they physically threaten you, completely different story. I never let a person get within 3 feet of me. That's just the God honest truth. If you step within any punching range of me, I'm initiating. I never wait. That's just facts. You can't wait because you can mess around and get knocked out. So if you're a threat, you're coming towards me, expect to get hit. At the same time, if you're across the block, say whatever you want to say, pop whatever you want to pop, but just make sure you stay across the block. And that's just really what it's all about. People, some people respect you, some people won't respect you. And at the end of the day, man, there's just so much going in the world that's so much bigger than some idiot who wants to try to disrespect you or call you out of your name or make things worse than what they are. So you just don't give the word power. Yes, it's offensive. Of course, you're going to be upset. That's not what I'm saying. But at the same time, it's way more bigger fish to fry than some lame old person saying these things. So I wouldn't even worry about it. But anyway, man, listen, I want to thank everybody for coming out and supporting Super Podshots once again. I hate to get political at the end. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. I will return Thursday with the team, Anchorman, B Money 101, and we'll get back to talking about regular Xbox content and news. Hopefully, we get some more scoops and some more information on what's happening with Xbox and Phil and the team. I'll give you a heads up on anything I have lined up as far as interviews are concerned. I am still working with Shannon Loftus to try to get her on to talk about First Party. Maybe that will be the first guest we have on to talk about that. And again, hey, go back to the Seamus Blackley, father of Xbox. We talked to the father of Xbox. He's bringing back the Duke controller, by the way. Have you seen this thing? This thing has an LED screen in the center of it. When you turn it on, it plays the original Xbox opening. Fire, bro. Just fire. So check out Seamus Blackley on our interview section. And also I had an interview with Adam Boyce. Check out the Adam Boyce interview. I chatted with him a bit. We talked about that new game that he's got with, I forget what it's called. Extinction. His new game from Iron Galaxy. We didn't get a chance to talk about it particularly, but we talked about it prior to E3 and how they were working on a new game. And now it's called Extinction, and we get a chance to see it where you fight giant monsters. It's kind of like Attack on Titan. If you watch anime, if you've seen Attack on Titan, it's kind of like that, except the Titans are like giant ogres or something like that. And you got to chop their heads off. Weird stuff, man. I don't know. Maybe I'll have them back on to talk about this. We'll figure it out. But again, we'll return Thursday with Tick Podcast and possibly Wednesday with another Super Podshot. So that's it for E3, man. I hope you guys enjoyed all the content. We do have a Tick experience coming up. So if you like looking at E3 and seeing what was there and want to see what it's like walking around, we will present that shortly. And of course, the Aaron Greenberg interview is up. Check out the Aaron Greenberg interview if you want to find out anything about Microsoft and what they presented at E3, as well as Xbox Scorpio release dates, and when we could possibly hear more information on that, or custom consoles or whatever. I asked a ton of questions. I even shouted out some of the guys in the show. You guys are up there and your names are said, as well as your tweets. So make sure you check that out, and hopefully you guys enjoy. So I'm your host, man, KORS-Kal-El, the last son of Planet Xbox, and I'm off this planet. You guys have a great night and a happy Father's Day. Thank you.